Hello, and welcome back to the library. We haven't spent much time up here for a while. I'm Dr. Wiggo, and the reason we're in the library is because I want to talk about one of my favorite space opera book sets. And it's finished, which is one of my rules. But better than that, there's a TV show. As I tell you my story, we'll get into how I started doing all this. But if you just want to get to the order of the series and the books, we'll skip on to the next chapter, and I'll start getting into that. But first, let me tell you my story. I should have thought of doing this a long time ago. Yeah, you know I'm not that bright. I was in Barnes & Noble recently, and I found this book, which is the collection of all the short stories set in the Expanse universe that kind of fill in gaps and go extra places. And I'm reading this and I'm going, well, I need to do a video about the series because it's awesome. I'm going to go through it the same way I lived through it, which means I'm going to start with the TV show and then flip to the books and then back to the TV show and back to the books, because that's how I experienced it. I had never heard of The Expanse. I had never heard of James S.A. Corey. Knew nothing about it. But in 2015, the Sci-Fi Channel started up a series called The Expanse. Based on this series of books. Season 1, they went out and got some fairly big names. I mean, they got Thomas Jane, who you've seen in a bunch of things. Shohreh Aghdashloo, who I first saw in 24, the first season. She's a phenomenal actress, and she's phenomenal in this TV show. Paolo Constanzo, who was in this Friends spinoff, Joey. He played Joey's little brother. And Jared Harris, Richard Harris's son, who is a great actor in his own right. He was in Chernobyl. He's been in all sorts of stuff. So they started out 2015, 2016 with a 10-episode series. Now that series, season 1, was based on Leviathan Wakes, which is the first book of the Expanse novel series, which came out in 2011. It's 561 pages. All of these are really thick books, which is why even if you watch the show, you need to go read the books. And that's what I did. After I watched season 1, which I don't want to spoil anything, but it sets up a whole lot of things. You know, we got Earth. We have an independent Mars, which has declared its independence from Earth, and there's stuff going on there. And then there's the asteroid belt, which is where all the miners and all those kind of guys live. They're getting the raw materials that Mars and Earth need, but feel like they're like second-class citizens. And so there's a whole class warfare thing going on. There's just a whole lot going on. And by the end of season 1, we have seen a whole lot of stuff, but it's just getting started. So after I finished season 1, I read Leviathan Wakes, which covers the same material, but again, it's very thick. There's a lot in the books that didn't make it into the series. Plus they combine some characters, but you'll get the full flavor if you do both. So I read Leviathan Wakes, and then I waited for season 2, which came out in 2017. And was a 13-episode series. It was based on Caliban's War, which the book came out in 2012, so just a few years before this, and was 595 pages. Now, in season 2, we spend a lot more time with our regulars, like Stephen Strait, and Dominic Tipper, who play 2 of the main characters, and Wes Chatham. He's a revelation. If you've seen him in other things, you won't believe how good an actor he is until you see him in this.
I am that guy.
He was in Ahsoka. He was the guy in the gold-plated face. So they hired a famous actor and then put him in a gold-plated helmet so you couldn't see who he was. And also they brought in Frankie Adams to play Bobby Draper. And if you know anything about this series, Bobby Draper is like just the hero, the heroine. She's the best. She's a Martian Marine. I'll say no more. But anyway, in season 2, what happened at the end of season 1 starts off a whole new set of things that nobody saw coming. The proto-molecule, which is kind of the MacGuffin of the whole book series and the TV series, is changing things and doing things. And as humans, of course, we tried to, in season 1, they were trying to exploit it and use it to create weapons. That didn't turn out well. And season 2, they're still trying to create weapons out of it, and that also still does not go well. But it starts doing what it wanted to do, which is a whole nother thing that we'll get to later. Season 3 came out just a year later on Sci-Fi, 2018. Again, another 13 episodes. This season is based on the book Abaddon's Gate, which came out in 2013 and was 539 pages. Now, in this season, we've lost some of the big names from the first couple of seasons, but they pick up some new actors. Elizabeth Mitchell from Lost, she shows up in season 3. David Strathairn, who, if you watched my Christmas video a while back, you know that I know him personally. Well, he's in it, and he's fantastic. I've never seen him do anything bad, but this is especially good. And then we get some more regulars. Cara G, who started out just to be a one-time character. She was a guest star, and she ends up being a series regular because she's so good. They basically folded a bunch of stuff in that other characters did in the book so that they could give more to Cara G because she's such a great actress. And Nadine Nicole, who plays Peaches, I'm going to try to describe this character because she's just weird and amazing. So in this season, the proto-molecule has done its thing, and now there are gates, stargates as it were, but there are gates to over 1,000 other systems with Earth-like planets that we could live on. And so, of course, then the big race starts for that. But, of course, Mars and the Belt and Earth don't want the others to take advantage. And so there's a whole... It's an amazing plot. I loved season 3, and I loved reading the book after I finished season 3. Then after season 3, Sci-Fi canceled it. But the viewers started this grassroots campaign trying to get Netflix or Amazon Prime Video or someone to pick it up. Thank goodness for us, Jeff Bezos loved the show. So he picked it up for Amazon Prime Video. So season 4 comes out on Amazon Prime Video, which is where it's all streaming now. So you can go watch all 6 seasons on Amazon Prime. So in season 4, 2019, it's only a 10-episode season, but they gave them more money so they look better. Now it's based on the book Cibola Burn, which came out in 2014, 583 pages, pretty thick. Now, season 4 brings in Bern Gorman, who was in Torchwood, and he was in Pacific Rim, I think the second one. He's a really good British actor, and he plays a really great bad guy. You will hate him, but in a good way. Well, actually not in a good way. You're just going to hate him. And Cass Anvar, who's one of the regulars, who's been there from season 1, but I only had room on my little sheet here for 4 actors per season. And they also brought on Keon Alexander to play Marcos Inaros, who's a major, major character. And Josiah Chase Owens to play his son Philip, another major character who also is connected to other people. Yeah. Go watch, you'll see. So season 4, the crew of the Rocinante, our guys that we've been following since season 1, they get sent to a planet through the gates on the other side of the rings, because there's a dispute, and so Earth is involved and the Belt is involved, so they send a ship of mainly Belters, but also tied to Earth, and they're supposed to solve it. Yeah. Hilarity ensues. No, not at all. Madness ensues. It's just crazy what happens on this planet. And things happen. I'm not even going to try to explain it because it's just so amazing. You have to watch it. Season 5, which came out 2020-2021, was based on the book Nemesis Games, which had come out in 2015 and was 544 pages. They really only brought in one major actor, Jacob Mundell, who played a childhood friend of Amos, when Amos wasn't called Amos. And that's all based on a short story that's in this book called The Churn. So yes, the short stories in this book, some of them are woven into the show, some of them aren't. Well, this is where, back at the beginning on Sci-Fi, Naren Shankar was brought in to be the showrunner, and he'd worked on Star Trek and CSI and a bunch of other things. Well, the brilliant thing he did was he brought on James S.A. Corey, who isn't a person. It's two people, Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank, who write these books together. Naren Shankar brought them both on as executive producers and got them involved in the writing room and writing episodes and really producing, and basically taught them how to produce, taught them how to write for television. It was an amazing, amazing culmination of talents. And you got to give Naren Shankar a lot of credit, because he's the one who said, hey, if we get these guys involved, it'll be even better. And it is. It's so good. Then season 6 was kind of a disappointment, because it came out in 2021 and 2022. It was only 6 episodes. Now, they were longer, and they did these little X-ray things that Amazon Prime Video does, where there's little scenes in between, kind of like the short stories for the books. Season 6 was based on Babylon's Ashes. It's a book that came out in 2016 that was 608 pages, big, thick one. And it kind of ties up most of the storyline, but not all. And here's where it gets interesting. There are 3 more books, but there are no more seasons. Depending on how Jeff Bezos and the people at Amazon feel, they might be able to make those last 3 books into shows, but they need to wait a little while, because the last 3 books take place like 30, 40 years later, but with some of the same characters. One of the things that makes these such good books is that the physics are pretty much dead on. I mean, they worry about air, they worry about water, they worry about all the things you'd actually worry about if you were in space. Well, one of the things that's horrible about space is how long it takes to get anywhere. So they came up with the Epstein drive. And by the way, there's a short story in this collection about the inventor of the Epstein drive, which was basically a fusion type drive that could just do continual acceleration. So instead of taking 6 months to get from Earth to Mars, it would just take a few weeks. And so it opens up the belt, it opens up the rest of the solar system, because you can get around. You still can't travel between stars, well, except through those gates. So season 6 kind of wraps the whole thing up. It doesn't tie a big bow on it, because again, there's 3 more books. Now, the next book was Persopolis Rising, which came out in 2017, 560 pages. And it takes place mostly on through the rings on a planet out elsewhere. Weird stuff starts happening. If you watch season 6, there's these little stories that start the beginning of each episode that take place on this planet called Laconia. Well, these last 3 books, Laconia is a big feature. So if you watch that thing, you'll start learning some things about Laconia, which will come in handy later on when the books travel there. TV show doesn't yet, but I'm hoping. Then Tiamat's Wrath in 2019, 544 pages. And finally, Leviathan Falls. It's a big finish to the whole arc of all 9 books. And it is a doozy. I mean, you won't believe the stuff that goes on. Because at this point, the proto-molecule has been co-opted, but it's co-opted human. It's just amazing. And then finally, the last book to come out was this one, which came out in 2022, although I just found it in Barnes & Noble recently. It's only 432 pages, and it's short stories. But I get there's a story about the Epstein Drive. It has the Churn short story, which is integrated into season 5 because it's Amos Burton's backstory. And there's another story set on Mars with Bobby Draper, which in the show they folded in to give Bobby a bigger part because everybody loved Frankie Adams. She was so fantastic that they gave her more story. Avra Sarala, played by Shora Agdaslu, they had a lot more of her in the show in the first season than she was in the first book, but they pulled some of that from the second book, and then they made her a major character throughout. Her arc is amazing. Basically, all of the main characters in these stories go through an amazing arc in the show, but they go through another amazing arc in the last 3 books, which haven't been made into the show yet. But here's hoping. I would love to see those. So it's a fantastic set of books. One of the best hard science fiction set of books I've ever read. And it's an amazing TV show. Absolutely the best hardcore science fiction show that's ever been made. It's so true to life. Well, if we could do all those things that they do. But the science is accurate. I don't think I can stress how much I love this show. Or how much I love the books. Or both. So, what do I think you ought to do? If you've read the books and haven't watched the show, go watch the show. If you've watched the show and haven't read the books, go read the books. Start at the beginning, read them all through. They'll all be linked down below. But if you don't know anything about what I'm talking about, I think you should do it the way I did it, which is watch season 1, then read the first book. Watch season 2, read the second book. Watch season 3, read the third book. Watch season 4, read the fourth book. Watch season 5, read the 5th book. Watch season 6, read the 6th book, Babylon's Ashes. And when you get to the end of the last episode, there's still 3 more books, which are equally amazing, if not more amazing, than the ones that have gone before. So you have just hours of entertainment. Now, another thing I'd recommend is if you're watching the show, Ty Franck, half of James S.A. Corey, and Wes Chatham, who plays Amos Burton, one of the greatest characters in science fiction of all time. Well, they do a podcast, and they started out their podcast. Basically, they went through and did a deep dive on every episode where they talked about things. Ty would bring along things that, happened in the writer's room or that the producers decided. Wes would talk about things the actors. They'd bring in guest stars. They'd bring in a lot of the cast came through their podcast. And they do, there's an episode of their podcast for every single episode of the series. So you can go watch them do all that. After I'd read all the books and done all this, and then Nerdy Nightly started a reaction series to The Expanse, but relatively recently. So I watched Nerdy and his wife Clarus react to all the episodes. So I got to kind of relive the episodes without having to watch them all the way through. So instead of, an hour, it would be like 15, 20 minutes. So I could watch each episode in 15 and 20 minutes with their commentary, which is hysterical. Because if you've already read the books or seen the show, you know what's going to happen. They don't, and their conjectures are hysterical. Nerdy Nightly, I'll link that down below. So I recommend them. Watch the show, read a book. Watch the show, read the book. Watch a season, read the book. Watch a season, read the book. And then read the last 3 books. And then while you're watching the show, you could go watch Ty and That Guy, which is the name of the Ty Franck and Wes Chatham's podcast. Wes is that guy. And then later on, or even while you're going, it's up to you. You can work in the Nerdy Nightly stuff along the way too. You won't be sorry. I don't know about you, but whenever I watch a show, I always go, I know what's going to happen. Not this show. You'll never know what's going to happen because the most bizarre things happen. These guys, I know it's one guy. No, it's not. Daniel Abraham and Ty Franck, very good writers, and together they're an amazing writer. one of the best hard science fiction series I've ever read. And I grew up reading Heinlein and Bradbury and all the greats. But these guys, in the future, people will look back and think of them as some of the greats. Especially with this show. Oh, you young people, I envy you so, getting to watch this all on TV. I had to do it all in my head when I was reading. But y'all can just see it in real life and then go read. And then you have the voices in your head of the people. And there are just some amazing characters. I could just sit here and ramble on, but you don't want to hear that. So I'll just tell you, watch the series, read the book. I'll be back next week with something else. Don't know what. So that's it for now. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye. Now I'm going to go try to find something else to make a video about. Thanks for staying to the end. Bye-bye.